Polk County Utilities provides safe drinking water, wastewater collection, and treatment systems to nearly 65,000 accounts in unincorporated communities throughout the county. In some service areas, this division also provides reclaimed water. Coming up on Polk Place, we'll talk water conservation rebate programs with both the county and city of Lakeland. Make sure you stick around. Welcome to Polk Place. I'm your host, Jeremy Moretti, and with me today we have two guests, both with water on their minds. We have Jackie Hollister, who is the environmental specialist for water conservation with Polk County Utilities, and also Ruffin Gray, who's the water utilities compliance manager for Lakeland Electric. So thank you guys for coming in.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Well, you got a lot to talk about today. Everything that I think we're going to cover pretty much, really touches a lot of people's lives when it comes to water conservation, and really kind of impacts their bill. Talk to us a little bit about what you guys have going on for these rebate programs.
Water does affect everyone and their water bills. Water is an everyday need, a necessity that people have. Where water conservation kicks in is not so much asking people to drink less water, it's asking them to waste less water. Mm-hmm. We do waste an awful lot of water on our landscapes around the county. So we're trying to get people to cut down on that in a way that's not going to kill off their landscapes, their favorite plants, and make their yard look bad. We're not trying to do that at all. On the other hand, because the population of the county is increasing the way it is, we have a lot more people coming in, and mainly because of the water waste, we're having to find alternative sources of water. We're having to go more into using reclaimed water for irrigation, and we're having to go to lower Floridan aquifer wells, which are a lot more expensive to drill, a lot more expensive to treat the water. But all of this is because of the need for all of this extra water. So where conservation is going to come in the long run is not just people's water bills right now, but also their water bills as all of these more expensive projects start coming online and we start having to pay for all of that extra water, where all we're really doing is going out and dumping it in the yard. Mm-hmm. It's just simply not necessary. So we have several different programs in place to help people with their water bills now, and to help them get their yards acclimated to using less water rather than trying to drown them. That really isn't what we're here for. The county may be living in a swamp and it looks like we've got a lot of water around, but we really don't. And we don't need to be dumping all this extra water out there. So we have different programs going on. We have landscape irrigation evaluations, which will come out to the house, take a look at your plants. Usually the plants aren't the issue, it's the irrigation timer. Okay. It'll be broken heads or broken lines. It's generally the timer. Someone's got the timer set for way too long. We've also got a program where we have toilet rebates. If you have an older home or a business, now we're doing hotels and motels as well.
So it's a business aspect as well as
yes.
the residential?
Actually,
okay.
For either program, either one of those programs, yes. Okay. The toilets, we're going in and giving them monetary incentive to replace 3.5 gallon toilets or higher. I've seen 5 and 6 gallon toilets come through. Wow. And getting them down to replacing them with 1.6 gallon or less.
And it has to be WaterSense rated.
Yes, EPA WaterSense.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, and that goes for both of y'all with Lakeland Electric?
City of Lakeland
okay.
and also Polk County, yeah.
Okay.
We both do that program. We both do the landscape and irrigation evaluation program too, which is huge water savings for a customer because frequently we'll find irrigation systems that were designed and built 20, 30 years ago when water was very cheap, inexpensive, and so irrigation heads were just designed to throw water everywhere, and it might end up where it needed to go. But irrigation systems now are much more efficient, And so someone may have an old irrigation system and they're putting way more water out than they need to. It's wasting the water and it's actually making their bill quite expensive, but they've paid it for so many years they don't realize why they're paying for it.
So it's just kind of become a routine, same old, not really paying attention.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's just, you know, oh, the bill went up. That's it.
Okay. So now, in looking at the yards with the irrigation, when you come out, you said it's not always the plants looking at, you know, older systems, but plants can, you know, add to it as well with certain types of, you know, Florida-friendly landscapes. Do you guys talk about that with the homeowners?
They absolutely do. The auditor that comes out, sometimes a plant that should be in a shady environment is out in the sun. So now it needs more water because of where it is. And so that person making the evaluation will, on their write-up, they'll say, you know, if you move these plants to this area, that's a better place for them, and might make some suggestions for things that they could put in that area if they wanted to actually move the plant. They also talk to them about reducing areas that are sod. Sometimes people just have a whole bunch of sod in the yard. That requires way more water than plants. So sometimes they'll suggest that they put a plant bed in an area to reduce the amount of water that they're using.
Okay, all right. And what other programs do you have going on?
Okay, well, related to the landscape program, we also have free rain sensors that we're giving away.
Okay.
As long as, in our case, you have to be a Polk County utility customer, or if they're getting the landscape and irrigation evaluation, which is free, and they need a rain sensor, we'll go ahead and install a rain sensor at the time at no cost again. Anything to help reduce the water loss, because in the long run, all that water is costing everyone, including the utilities. We're having to add all this extra capacity. We have to make sure we pump this much more water.
So now with the rain sensor, what does that entail?
The rain sensor, it makes sure that you're not irrigating when it's raining out. If old Mama Nature already gave you what you needed,
so
you
that's
don't need
what
to be
attaches
adding
to the irrigation system. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And another really neat thing they've come out with is a smart timer. And it's an irrigation timer that actually goes online. Depending on the brand, now you want to get one that checks the rainfall in your area more than one that's statewide, because you know how it is in Florida. It can rain on one side of the block and not on the other.
Sure.
But what it does is it says, okay, it's going to rain, so it will hold off on the irrigation, or it'll say, well, it has rained, you just need just a little bit. You know, we only got just a sprinkling, you know, not a whole lot, but it'll give it a little bit more. But the really great thing about these new smart timers is that you can log on to the timer and see how much water is going out. So especially for people who come down seasonally and the rest of the time of year live elsewhere, and especially if they rent the house out, somebody goes out and plays with their timer, they can go back on and say, wow, they raised my time from 10 minutes to a zone to 30 minutes to a zone. Your water bill just tripled, plus you probably hit one of the steps, and it's more expensive on top of that per gallon.
Okay.
Despite, you know, besides using the extra water.
And that's something they can go back in and change and
revert
it back?
They can go back in and change it, yep. Yeah, and it's fantastic for people who...
Technology.
Yep, it really is. Or if, in a case like if you have an HOA who keeps track of your irrigation, if an HOA wants to go in and put these through the whole area and they're being very careful with people's water bills, if they really care about what people are spending to stay there, you know, the HOA can watch it and say, okay, well, all of a sudden this zone is using so much more water, we've got a broken head there, let's go fix it.
Okay.
So that saves everybody all the way around.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it's really cool.
One of the other things that we do when someone participates in the toilet rebate program, we also give them some devices. But with the City of Lakeland, we just hand these out to customers as well. If they contact us through the website or any other way, we'll give them a low flow shower head. And some people have the idea that, oh, because it's low flow, it doesn't work as well as it should.
Sure.
And if I just handed you that and didn't tell you it was low flow, you'd think, oh man, that's a great shower head. It's got massage on it, and it's even got the little switch for the, they call them Navy showers, because on a ship you have to really use as little water as you could. So you could actually rinse yourself down, and then this little device will actually turn it off, and then you just turn it back on when you're ready to rinse off. So instead of having to you know, jiggle the little handles on your faucet. You just use that little device. And so this is a shower head that we do. We also do a kitchen aerator that adds a little swivel to it. And most kitchen aerators are 2.5 gallons per minute or above. This one knocks it down to 1.5. Okay. And the great thing about these devices is you don't notice a difference when you're actually showering or using the faucet in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And I always, when I used to be over the conservation part, which now someone who works for me does it, I would always make sure that my family tested these devices first before I asked the public to use them. And so if it got the wife and daughter approval, I knew it was good for everybody else. So it went out great. And another little device we encourage too, it's not actually a device, but these are dye tablets, and you drop them in the back of your toilet. Mm-hmm. And you wait a few minutes. If you see color in the bowl, it means your flapper's leaking. A flapper costs about $2, $3 at any of the hardware stores. But if that flapper is leaking, sometimes people get astronomical bills. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of dollars because of a little flapper that just allows the water to constantly flow through. Yeah. Yeah, so that could be really bad. And then the last one I wanted to tell you about is in the yard. You know, there's always, you see the folks with the open hose. Mm-hmm. That's 10 gallons of water in 1 minute. So, wow. You know, the cell phone rings and you drop the hose down and you get on this really long call, and an hour later you wasted 600 gallons of water. So if you have this device on there, as soon as you drop that hose, it shuts off.
Well, and I tell you what, I mean, that sure does beat the thumb over the hose when you're needing to
absolutely, yeah,
rinse something off.
Got all these different settings. You know, you could jet, you could shower, flat, center, whole bunch of them. So
sure,
I'll leave that one with you.
All right, sounds good. And all of these they can get
to the City of Lakeland, absolutely.
City of Lakeland.
Yeah,
all right.
And Jackie distributes shower heads and aerators as well.
All right,
and the hose nozzles too.
Yeah,
right?
we have those nozzles too.
Okay, so get a hold of you guys through either your websites, calling, line something up. You guys are there.
We're there to help them save water.
Okay.
And save their water bill now and save the water bill in the long run.
Sounds wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in and sharing this with us.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting us.
Polk County Utilities produces and distributes 15.3 million gallons of drinkable water each day, along with collecting and treating 6.2 million gallons. In an effort to preserve this precious resource, they are offering water conservation rebate programs along with City of Lakeland. They are designed to reduce the amount of drinking water used for flushing toilets and landscape irrigation by offering financial incentives. These rebates address both indoor water conservation and outdoor water conservation, irrigation controllers, and wireless rain sensors, and more. For more information, you can give them a call at 863-298-4236 or look them up on the web at www.polk-county.net/utilities.